Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is widely known throughout the Fire Emblem community for 3 reasons. It features a simple yet compelling storyline and strong world building that many people enjoy. It has a varied cast of well-written characters with strengths and flaws, and it has an incredible abundance of child soldiers. What if we only focused on that last one? Could we beat Fire Emblem Path of Radiance if we replaced every character in the game with the incredible 12-year-old archer, Rolf? I'm Zetetic, and I decided to try and answer that question. The rules for this challenge are simple. If you're familiar with my previous Oops All Amelia's run in Sacred Stones, then you already know the deal. If not, I'll explain it briefly. Everyone gets Rolf's stat growths. Everyone gets Rolf's average stats at the level they normally join. For example, Oscar starts at level 3, so he gets Rolf's average stats as a level 3 archer. Pre-promotes are assumed to have been leveled up to 21 as an archer, before being promoted to sniper. Characters had their weapons replaced with bows of equivalent weapon rank. Characters get Rolf's weight and constitution of 4, and characters had their base skills stripped away if they had any, since Rolf starts with no skills by default. Also, we're playing on difficult mode. If you're familiar with Path of Radiance, you would know that no bow can deal damage to Ashnard, the final boss of Path of Radiance. Let's just say I had a plan for him. I changed his class in an effort to remove the skill that gives him immunity to most weapons. We'll see how that goes later. For now though, let's do the chapter by chapter review. Prologue. The prologue is a simple matter of having Ike shoot Boyd until he concedes defeat, drinking vulnerary juice, and then having Ike shoot his dad. Drinking some vulnerary juice is essential, but I need to hit every shot in order to conserve it and not die. Luckily, I'm able to hit every shot and move on. Chapter 1. In the base game, Titania is the goddess of the early and mid-game if you let her be. In Oops All Rolfs, she is practically essential, as a sniper with incredible stats. Compared to useless Ike, who had his bow replaced by 4 iron swords, she carries the team through this chapter as the rest of the gang get experience shooting and occasionally killing bandits. She gets the Seraph robe and Oscar defeats the boss. Chapter 2. The goal for the first couple of turns is to push our Rolfs eastward and clear a battleground to defeat the bandits to the northwest. Titania comes in the nick of time to help, and we're able to defeat all of the bandits. This ends the Crimean hostage crisis and gets Rolf and Mist out of their predicament. Chapter 3. Now we're up against pirates. Anticipating Marcia's arrival, I try to direct the Rolfs to get the ship as quickly as possible, so that they can make the ship safe enough after she arrives. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Marcia is axed from the game. But the rest of the Rolfs are able to take vengeance and kill the boat monkeys she hated so terribly. Chapter 4. This map's a little too open for our units to play hide and seek with the enemy. Luckily, Titania and Shannon are well suited to deal with the enemy charging our Rolfs, and they head forward while the other Rolfs clean up any enemies that pass them. The boss charges forward, putting himself in range of Titania and her murder bow. Chapter 5. This is the first defend chapter of the game, and it was definitely not designed with all Rolfs in mind. Why would it be? Intelligent Systems didn't expect masochists to play their game. Oh wait, they did. After trying to play it normally a couple of times, I decide that it is not possible without casualties I can't afford this early in the run, and cowardly place my Rolfs in an easily chokeable corner of the castle behind tough units, while Shannon stands on the tile the enemies have to reach. This turns out to be good enough. After a few turns, the enemy realizes that I refuse to play this game fairly, and they run away. Chapter 6. Our units crawl through the forest and escape the forest, but they have to fight their way across a bridge to escape the map. Overall, it's more a test of patience than skill. Careful unit placement helps ensure that our Rolfs only take the damage they can handle without dying. Again, Titania carries the team and leads them to fight another day. I take a little bit of a risk with Ike at the end, but it turns out alright. Chapter 7. Things really go sideways for the first time in this run. Mia recruits herself, and Shannon and Gatry get swarmed by the enemies in tight quarters. Boyd eventually dies due to having low HP and defense, and definitely not due to my own mistakes at all, and Gatry also bites the bullet after being surrounded by 3 enemy soldiers with sharp sticks. But we clear the map just in time to watch Ike's dad die, allowing us to progress through the rest of this amazing game. Chapter 8. The Rolfs finished grieving for Grail, and now we get access to the base. We immediately christen our base by pouring bonus experience into Ike, who celebrates by getting a blank level up. After a quick reset, we get him to level 20, and we set out to defend the mercenary fort and grab Ileana. Ike is a juggernaut compared to most of the Rolfs and is able to hold Ileana's side on his own. Titania handles the south side by herself. Ike snags Ileana, and the chapter completes itself shortly afterward. Chapter 9. We start things off by giving Ike a bootlegged Lugnasad. Leonardo's bow. We finally acquire the one true Rolf in this chapter, which is great as he is easily the most essential unit in the base game, let alone Oops All Rolfs. We also get Mist, who is fine too, although he or she is a glitchy Shadow Ike who doesn't seem to gain any weapon experience. Titania heads off for a beach holiday while the other Rolfs progress southwestward toward the castle. Ike gets promoted, which is mildly surprising to me. We carefully give the one true Rolf his first taste of blood, but ultimately kill the boss with Ike and seize on the next turn. Chapter 10. For our expert command of the Rolfs, we receive 20,000 gold, but Ranulf insinuates that we have personnel problems. To prove him wrong, we pour all of our bonus experience into Rolf, buy weapons from an incredibly scary-looking man, and create yet another counterfeit bow in preparation for breaking people arrested for selling counterfeit bows out of jail. We get Volk, who I let keep the steal skill only for opening doors and chests, and we press in, opening all of the cells. Sephiron is a mad lad, or a crazy lad, if you will, and distracts all the reinforcements from behind while we kill the boss and escape. Chapter 11. It's a bit of a slow crawl through the town as we try to create a safe area for talking to and recruiting Zyhark, while preventing the enemies to the west from swarming us too much. We manage to grab the Draco shield, then as I try to pick up the pace, I forget that the boss moves. Braum bought the farm, and we quickly have Ike escape so that we can move on to the next chapter without any more accidents. Chapter 12. We find a stowaway Rolf on our ship, who we immediately recruit. The real Rolf gets some more bonus experience, but decides not to do any weightlifting one day, and skips an entire level up. Raven Pirates, or Pirate Ravens, or the Baltimore Ravens, something like that, I don't know, I hit my head. Anyway, they attack our ship, but luckily we have bows to shoot them out of the sky. Jill appears, floating over the ocean as some sort of power move. Unfortunately, the power move is the only move she can do, and she remains in place as ravens peck her to death. We defeat all of the ravens and sail off to the next chapter. Chapter 13. Maps with extremely tight quarters are not the ideal situation for Oops All Rolfs, especially considering how fragile most of the Rolfs are, and the fact that we have to prevent the enemies from touching an easily reachable tile on the map. After we lose Astrid before we can even talk to her, and Soth as he tries to make his way to the treasure, we start to clear the first ship and press forward onto the second. After losing Kira to an unfortunate case of arrowitis, we kill the boss and wrap the chapter up. Chapter 14. This would normally be the chapter where we recruit Makalov if we had Marcia, but Marcia was unable to survive being repeatedly hit with axes in Chapter 3 for whatever reason, so we sent her brother off to join her in Helios. Despite being a Fog of War chapter, the process we employ to get through the chapter is fairly straightforward. The Rolfs leapfrog their way through the fog toward the boss, then Rolf eliminates the boss. It's kind of a filler chapter. Chapter 15. Halfway into the game, the one true Rolf earns his promotion to Sniper. We also throw some more stat boosters on him, because why not? This chapter is the desert chapter, and it goes about as slowly as you'd expect. After losing Volk to a horrific bird-related incident, we restart and crawl through the desert once more. In order to recruit Stefan, we exploit his weakness for cat girls to lure him out of his hiding spot. His vague kitty is replaced by the double bow, which is unfortunate to say the least. We find the boots, show the boss who's boss, and move on with Moarim and Tormod. Chapter 16. We get our first glimpse at the glory of Oliver. Stefan gives us an occult scroll. Rolf gets a new pair of shoes, and we make another bootlegged bow. Rolf's movement range really helps here, as it enables us to just run towards Devdan and recruit him. After he expresses horrible disappointment at our army of 12-year-old archers, he joins us, we take down the boss, and win this game of musical chairs. Chapter 17. This is the 4-part chapter that even most Fire Emblem fans who haven't played Path of Radiance have some idea about its existence. It's actually not too hard for the Rolfs to handle, though. The first 3 parts went smoothly, more or less, although I had to restart to reverse a silly mistake I made with Mist. Part 3 went so smoothly that I cleared out the map before the 10-turn limit, and had to sit around waiting for the battle to end. Yeah, I'm pretty good at the game, what can I say? But Part 4 was messy. We were able to take out the Siege Tome user early on, but the problem is the lack of forward movement for most of the Rolfs. By the time the reinforcements arrive from behind, some of our weakest links get slaughtered. Janaf and Tibarn arrive to help, although they are Rolfs with beaks, which is mildly confusing. Rolf ends up destroying the very model of pure beauty, and we are able to progress. Chapter 18. Fortunately, Ike's story-based promotion ceremony doesn't completely break the game with him already being a sniper. At least, not in any way I could observe. We cautiously make our way through the map so that we don't kill Shannon by accident, and also don't get any of our loyal Rolfs killed by a Siege Tome attack. After carefully defeating Shannon under the appropriate recruitment conditions, we take our sweet time to grind against the Ravens and grab the treasure before ending the map. Chapter 19. This map's a little scary. After observing how the game decided to replace green Laguz units that eventually join us, by making them flying Rolfs with beaks, I was a bit scared to see how buff Nisala would end up being since he is a playable character eventually too. As it turned out, he was very much buff. So while the Rolf skirted around his movement range, the one true Rolf himself went off to assassinate the boss and end the chapter as quickly as possible. Volk got his promotion ceremony, which changed nothing about him. He didn't become a sniper, he didn't become an assassin, nothing. We just got a bunch of money. Chapter 20. Mist grew to level 20 with the help of bonus experience, and I threw a Master Seal on her to promote her into a sniper. I also ended up promoting Zyhark by pushing him into level 21 with bonus experience. Our mostly sniper team goes into this map, which features a ton of flying enemies, pretty easily. Some are more fragile than others though, so a quick restart is necessary before proceeding. Townsfolk yell at us for being Crimean, but we're still able to get to Jill's dad despite the local yokels heckling us. After telling him that ravens drowned his daughter, we take advantage of his confusion and shoot him. One more dad rejected. We end the chapter well under the 20-turn limit. Chapter 21. We get Reese to level 21 and get him to a somewhat underwhelming promotion. Forged a Beats Owl for Devdan, which is nothing like Danved's Steelbow, and charged directly towards the sleep staff users who, predictably, put some of our Rolfs to sleep, including the one true Rolf. While he got in some nap time, the other Rolfs battled, slowly but surely clearing a path towards Enna. We snagged Torneo into our army, who was actually pretty great as a Rolf, and was helpful in taking Enna out. I set up a rescue chain to ferry Volk around so we could steal everything that wasn't nailed down. Chapter 22. We create a bootlegged Rolf's bow to help with this interesting chapter. Normally, this map is sort of like the Pokemon boulder puzzles, except instead of boulders, you are pushing around priests. But unfortunately, our Rolfs cannot shove the priests because their weight is too low, and we don't have the rainbow badge. Our only option is to carve a bloody path to the boss, killing defenseless priests until we can put down Schaefer. Chapter 23. Ah yes, the Great Bridge with an incredible number of potholes. As much as this bridge is kind of a meme, it wasn't that difficult of a map, more just mildly annoying at having to stop whenever someone fell into a hole. Zyhark died, but that's okay because Oscar got a promotion. Har appeared, but we were able to maintain a good pace and get away from his crew. The traitorous Torneo killed Petrine, and Ike seized the bridge shortly thereafter. Maybe he even repaired it, who knows, we'll find out in Radiant Dawn. Chapter 24. We make a weapon for Rolf through the power of necromancy. Battle Reunion is quite an open map. Early on we get Bastion and Lucia, who are both a big help with Rolf's bases and growths. Stefan dies to an unfortunate critical hit, and he leaves behind an impressive collection of catgirl drawings, which he bequeaths to the Black Knight, who came to collect. Fortunately, the Rolfs were well away from him by the time he appeared, and arriving at the castle was a piece of cake. Done in 7 turns when the game gives you 15. Chapter 25. We make a new bow in Stefan's memory, promote Volk, for real this time, and make our way up Boulder Mountain, named after the conveniently placed boulders which you can roll down to kill people trying to climb the mountain. The enemy tries to do this to us, but doesn't manage to kill anyone. Rolfs' provoke skill helps draw attackers to him, which is helpful for the party as a whole, and reaching the top is a snap. Since this is a route map for some reason, we take care of everyone at the top of the mountain and claim the summit for ourselves. Chapter 26. Clash. What a mess. The openness of the map does not do us any favors when we're locked to 2 range. I know I've said earlier that maps with tight quarters aren't great for Rolfs either. Well, the truth is no map is good for Rolf. Anyway, we have to use units as bait to take damage or even die to move forward at a reasonable pace, so that's what we do. The castle is seized in 8 turns at the cost of the lives of Leth, Mordecai, and Largo. Chapter 27. This map is a challenge, if only due to the sheer amount of damage that Feral Laguz can do to some of our Rolfs, and the Siege Tome user in the room directly ahead of the starting position. After they're eliminated, the map becomes very easy. Rolfs take their time looting and fighting towards the boss as they do. It's very easy to kill the boss with Ike. Half-fed, that is. The Black Knight does not get killed by Ike, not even close. Ike's complete inability to do damage without the use of Ragnell means that he has to flee the battle immediately. Chapter 28. The penultimate chapter is more a test of patience than anything. The scariest enemy for us is definitely the Feral Dragon Laguz, as only a few of the high-level Rolfs, mostly the late-game pre-promotes, Ike, Titania, and the one true Rolf himself, can do significant damage to them. Having Tibarn as an ally helps a little bit. Slowly but surely, we clear the field outside the tower before making our final approach. In a mad bid to kill the boss as quickly as possible before he boltings us all to death, Devdan grabs the double bow and tries to shoot him past the dragon, then Tanith moves in to finish off the last of the boss's HP with the longbow. Tanith takes damage from the dragon blocking the tower, while the other dragon approaches, who we kill as quickly as possible to have Ike seize on turn 11. Chapter 29. You may remember that in the beginning of this video, I said that no bow can damage Ashnard, at least not normally. In the character editor I used to change everyone into Rolf, I also took the liberty of changing Ashnard. I changed his class from King Dayan to the regular Wyvern Lord, then changed his character stats to ensure they were the same as his base game stats despite the class change. However, when we started the chapter, he was a glitched out Ike silhouette, with the King Dayan class. Despite sensing trouble, I still fought my way through the courtyard, leaving behind a few Rolfs as a distraction against some of the enemies while clearing out most of the rest. It didn't take that long to reach Ashnard and realize that we could not do damage to him, even though our attack was higher than his defense. Clearly, he still had the invisible skill that prevented him from taking damage. So I decided to take a quick break to figure out how Path of Radiance's debug tool worked. After some experimentation, I figured out that Ashnard did indeed still have the skill. I used the debug tool to remove the skill, only to find that our characters still could not do damage to him. I tried to give him a bunch of status effects in the debug tool, which, of course, froze the game. So I reloaded and used the clear map function in the debug menu to beat the game. Of course, this is cheating. In conclusion, you cannot, in fact, beat Path of Radiance with an army of Rolfs. It appears to be functionally impossible, even with debugging. That said, it was a fun ride, even if the ride derailed at the end. It was surprisingly easy up until the very end, too. I thought it would be a lot harder. Oops, Ol Amelia's was a fair bit harder and more deadly in my opinion. Check that out too if you haven't already. If you enjoyed watching this video or learned something interesting from it, consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I almost always have an ongoing Let's Play series, like all 27 episodes of Oops All Rolfs that you can watch at your leisure, and plan to release summary videos like these after each series is done. And another series will be starting up soon. Thank you for watching and have a good one.